back to the revision series, grammar today, and specifically modal verbs. Now, modal verbs, we may or may not know what they are, but you have been using them in your writing, maybe even since as far back as year one. It's just we need to know exactly what they are. We need to be able to identify them for a grammar paper, so a SATs EGPS paper, as they're called in the UK. But also you need to use them in your writing as well. I'll show you a list in a second that proves that, but it's an important skill to just grasp. It's not the most complicated thing, but I am going to give you a way that hopefully help you to remember what a modal verb is every single time. It's about the lottery. You possibly will love it. Hopefully will love it. Here is a list here of a much less exciting thing, but it is important nonetheless. It's the list of everything that shows what a pupil working at the expected standard at the end of Key Stage 2 should be able to do in their writing. So there's a whole raft of bullet points here. I'll go through videos that will support each one of them. But in my pink highlighter, you can see one part of this is you have to be able to use modal verbs to suggest degrees of possibility. You have to obviously do lots of things, all of these things in the bullet points. That's just one bit of it, using modal verbs to suggest degrees of possibility. After you've watched this video, you'll have that bit ticked off and we can start working on the other bits as well. Here's the way you're going to remember it from now on, and that is modal verbs. As soon as you see identify the modal verb or add a modal verb, you're going to think, oh yeah, that's the lottery one. So what I want you to do, hopefully this is the first time you've seen the video, so it doesn't blow what's underneath these boxes. I want you to pick a box below. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4 red boxes across the middle. I won't drag out the suspense for too long. But basically, the modal verb is the only thing that's going to change underneath that box. But it's going to tell me the likelihood, the degree of possibility of you winning the lottery. How seriously you take this is completely up to you. If you think this is going to be some kind of guide to your real future, great, then you're more bought in. Or maybe you just think this is just stupid. But either way, if you remember it, that's what I'm worried about. So you'll either have picked by now 1, 2, 3, or 4. Don't change your answer. If you picked 1, then you might win the lottery. Might being a modal verb. You might win the lottery. That's not bad. It's not ruling anything out at this stage. I'd probably take that. It could be worse. If you pick 2, box number 2, you should win the lottery. You could argue that's even more positive than might. Should is another modal verb. You should win the lottery. 3, unfortunately, if you pick 3, you won't win the lottery. I'm going to say that's a guarantee. You won't win the lottery. If anyone does off the back of this, then feel free to come back and talk to me. But you won't win the lottery. And 4, I'm hoping some people pick 4. Well done if you did. You will win the lottery. So all those are modal verbs in there: might, should, would, won't, will, and everything in between. It all gives you the possibility, the degree of possibility of winning the lottery. Might being halfway, should being most likely to, won't absolutely zero possibility, and will being 100% certain as well. Any verb that changes the possibility of something happening is a modal verb. Once we know that, you then realise, oh yeah, we've been using these words throughout all our writing all the time. Here are some SATs questions. So this is the type of question that will come up on an EGPS paper. I think this is from the 2018 version. It says, circle the modal verb in the sentence below. So you've got a couple of things in here. If you're good at working out word class, which would be a really good thing to practice in general, you understand that hoped is a verb as well, and see is a verb as well. But the word we're looking for to circle is would. So would. It shows the degree of possibility. You would see the goats and sheep at the farm as well. It could get drawn in by hopes there as well, but you're going for would, the degree of possibility. A more difficult one now, and this one has tripped people up, but there's another tip I can give you within this. Question 20 says, explain how the modal verb changes the meaning of the second sentence. So if we look at each sentence, sentence 1 says, Yusuf and his sister go swimming with their dad. Sentence 2 says, Yusuf and his sister might go swimming with their dad. The difficulty with this is you have to be really specific. and you actually need to reference one of the two sentences in your answer, and I'll show you what I mean. So you could say, it changes the possibility and then what you really need to do, switch my handwriting there, change the possibility in sentence 1, it is certain that, we can write more than is in the box, they go swimming. So make it really clear that you understand that. You might think that second sentence is not necessary, but it is. So it changes the possibility. Yes, you've defined and you've shown that you understand what a modal verb actually is. It changes possibility. Then you're being specific. In sentence 1, it is certain that they go swimming. You could always write in sentence 2, it is less certain, less probable, less likely that they go swimming. But you've made the point there, and I've seen the mark scheme for this as well. So that would get you the mark. But you want to reference one of the specific sentences so you explain it. Give myself the mark, what done me. So that is modal verbs. It doesn't need to be complicated. So we can change out words here as well. Going back to the lottery example, instead of should, we might, we won't, we will, we could. I don't know why that's huge up to we could win the lottery, or anything in between. Any of the words might work as well. So to give you some final tips, as soon as you see modal, not modal verbs, as soon as you see modal verbs and you're asked about it, you've got to think, oh yeah, they're the lottery one. I might win the lottery. I won't win the lottery. I will win the lottery. I should. I could. Whatever. As long as you remember, oh, that's the lottery one, it's going to engage your brain and you're going to think, yes, modal verbs, lottery one, I will win the lottery. Or I saw that silly YouTube video where it said, I might win the lottery. I should. I could. If you remember that, it's going to just engage your brain, just log you into what a modal verb is, and you can move on. It's not fundamental to all of your writing. As I said, everybody who's been writing successfully since year 2 has been using modal verbs. It's just about identifying them. And in a grammar paper, you're moving from modal verbs to what's a subordinate conjunction to, can you add a relative clause, can you add commas or semicolon to a sentence. It's a lots of technical language which you need to understand and be able to answer. So we need to be able to shift, and the key skill is to be able to shift really quickly from one discipline or one part of grammar to the next. So I'm just trying to give you a stupid example that's going to help you remember. Make sure you sprinkle them in your independent writing as well. We're not just learning to pass a test. Your independent writing should have modal verbs in there. For example, any educated person should recognise the impact of Charles Darwin's research on modern science. You could change that word to any educated person will recognise the impact of Charles Darwin's research on modern science. Just drop them in your sentences now and then. You don't need to go trying to jam them in there. They should come naturally, but it's important to show that you can do that, and you can do that independently. And as I said at the bottom, remember what they are for any specific grammar test. Not particularly complicated. It's just another one in your toolkit for grammar. I thought I should cover it as it's an easy mark to get, and it's something that we're all doing anyway. I will add some more grammar videos on. There's so much to cover it within grammar. It's very, very technical. So many different technical terms and words we need to remember. I will go through it all as well. If there's anything specific you'd like me to go through that you're thinking, I just don't get this, whether it's in grammar or maths or writing or any particular subject, specifically kind of primary or early secondary level, let me know and I will just make a video for you. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you again for the next one. Ciao.